Welcome back to another Canon Chat. Today's topic is going to be fans versus critics. We're going to talk a lot about critics and all that good stuff. We got a lot to talk about. Since the superhero craze has kicked off, have you noticed more talk between casual fans or regular fans about critic reviews?
Definitely, especially since Warner Brothers has come out with a lot more. That has been the talk of the town whenever these movies are coming out, especially because they've been horrible. They've been horrible.
The reviews.
The reviews have been horrible, yeah. The critical reviews, not mostly the fan ones. But, yeah, so that's, it's been definitely up there recently.
I would say, yeah, very recently, not since the MCU, but since the DCU started,
Yeah.
it's been a lot more. Oh, what did the critics say before I go see this? Or I'll hear coworkers or casual friends, bring up critics. Oh, this they said this or it scored this, and I'm like, well, when did you start looking at that?
Yeah.
So I have to agree, the DCU pretty much kicked off that whole boat. So what are your viewing habits when it comes to critic reviews? Do you typically look at them? When do you look at them?
Yeah.
What do you look for? Whatever.
I don't dig too deep into critic reviews. I have recently, again, because DC has gotten such bad ones. I want to see what they're actually saying about the movie. Now, this doesn't really sway me to not go see a superhero movie per se. And I really don't go. I don't even see what the critics are saying about other movies that I might be looking to see. The only time I'll even look at ratings for it is if I'm not very familiar with the movie itself, or anything that has to do with the movie. And sometimes it does sway me to go see one or don't go see a movie.
Yeah, with movies that I know of and I'm familiar with, I typically don't look at anything, and I try not to look at anything until after. Of course, doing this stuff, you hear about it and you gotta go see it. I'm like,
Yeah.
especially when a DC movie. Oh crap! Let me go see what the damage is.
Because they come out like 4 days at least before.
Right.
You can't.
And
not.
there's a difference between reviews and like these aggregate sites like Rotten Tomatoes that give it a percentage, or Metacritic or whatever that gives them grades. So that's different. Like those are really unavoidable. But even if I see the Rotten Tomato score, I don't read reviews at all. I try not to before I see the movie, because if it's a movie I know about and I'm already planning to go see, I'm gonna go see. Especially me, I'm gonna go see it because I have to. Basically, we're like half critics, so I have to go. But yeah, I try not to. Even if it's a movie I am debating on seeing or haven't seen, like our Redbox or whatever, I'll watch it. And the honest truth is, most time in the middle of the movie, I'll pause and be like, what did this get on Rotten Tomatoes? Because I've already like pretty much formulated my opinion, and I just want to go see kind of if it matches up. But yeah, usually if I can, I don't read reviews ahead of time. But so for the ones you do read or look for, are there any specific critics, sites, or anyone that you look to if you do want to see a review?
No, to be honest, just because I don't really look at the reviews too often, I don't have anyone specific. Sites-wise, I do use Rotten Tomatoes a lot, but even then, I don't go specifically usually to a critical synopsis of it. One, because they don't usually give spoilers in there, but they do sometimes give specifics about a character or how they felt about this character's motivations, whatever it is. I try not to get persuaded before I go see a movie, because I really want to know my personal, unbiased opinion about it, and sometimes that can be tainted by that review. But yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes, and then if there's like an article with a specific critic, I'll read it. I don't know, but no, not usually. I don't really have anyone specific.
Yeah, My main go-to, well, it's no one specific, but I usually use YouTube reviews, or not use them, but I'll view YouTube reviews. There's a handful of channels that are pretty popular that I like to see what they think. Definitely Collider, definitely the Angry Joe Show, the angry reviews. Those guys that do those. I sometimes watch the Black Nerd stuff, but yeah, it's a handful. Jeremy Johns. There's like a handful of people that I definitely check out their reviews. Again, it's usually afterwards, but if I want to see something, it's usually YouTube. Those are the ones I'll watch fully through. Rotten Tomatoes, I skim, um, and it's usually specific. It depends on the movie. Like, it might be a movie I want to just look at the not fresh reviews and kind of see if I can see any similar themes, or do people hate the same thing, or is it all over the place? Some movies I want to just look at the fresh reviews. So usually if it's a bad movie, I want to look at the fresh reviews and see, okay, well, what was good about it? Did they like what I like? Or did I just like this movie because I'm an idiot or something? But there's no specific critic. Before Robert Ebert passed away, I used to always look for his. And I still do on like older movies. I'm like, well, what did he say? Because he's a Chicago writer, went to U of I. I just respect his opinion, but he's no longer with us, so I don't have a specific critic.
Gotcha.
Question, Sal. How much weight should be put in a critic's review?
Well, after doing, if it's DC, none. Don't listen up. Now that we've been doing this, and you've brought it up many times, you say how art is subjective. I would say go see for yourself. Don't, you can look at all the reviews you want, but have your own opinion about it, and go in with a grain of salt, or take their reviews with a grain of salt if you do look at them. Don't let anyone else judge, what you might think is good. But if you never go give it a chance, then, you'll never know. So these people have to make a living. I understand that. And so that's their job. But at the same token, you need to, like I said, make your own opinion, and, don't let anyone else think for you.
I agree. That last part is probably number one thing I'll say with not just movies, but life in general. Don't let people formulate your opinion. Don't let people think for you. Approach it with your own beliefs and whatever set, and then kind of let it inform a little bit. But don't just step to it like, no, tell me what you thought. Okay, I think the same thing. Don't do that. As much weight, it depends. If you're not like us and you got a guy, like, he gets what every movie, me and him, or 9 out of 10 movies, I get what he's saying, then okay. You could still approach it with, okay, I'm going to see this for myself, but let me see what he thought, because it might change or not might change, but it might be in line with what I think. But that's rare. I don't think a lot of people just have kindred spirits with critics like that. So if that's the case, that's one thing. But if that's not the case, then like Sal said, grain of salt. And remember, these people, you don't know them. So to feel like, okay, what he said or she said is going to be how I react to the movie, it's not necessarily the case, because like we said, it's art. Certain parts will hit you in a certain way because of your experiences that won't hit me the same way, will hit Sal a different way. So you can't put much weight into a critic's review, in my opinion. But in practice, Sal, how much power do critic reviews have?
I think they have a lot. Again, we go back to the point that movies, and especially superhero movies, are targeting the casual fan. And I think the voice of the casual fan, or the beacon for a casual fan, are the critics. And so I think they do have a lot of power because they have such a wide audience and such a large audience, which are those casual fans, that they do hold a lot more power than they should.
I struggle with this question. While we've seen the money affected, by critic reviews. It's it's yet to get to the point where critic reviews are stronger than marketing, in my opinion, because there are movies that are highly praised that don't make money. And there's I'm going to say this name wrong. I believe it's Kubo. That's out right now. It's a stop motion movie.
Oh yeah.
But that I've heard like ridiculous positive, like it's out of this world, and it was like fourth in the box office on its opening weekend. So while critics do have power, I don't think it's hit the point where it outweighs marketing. Because like Transformers, those movies like are horrible on Rotten Tomatoes, and one of them made $1 billion, the other ones made like 700 million, like hella money. So people know, like, man, I see Transformers, and I want to go see that. So I almost feel like negative reviews have more power than anything.
Yeah, you make a good point there.
So sticking on that topic, Sal, in your opinion, are opening weekends critic proof? And if so, can that sustain itself in the future?
So you're saying
So I heard you say on one of the episodes before that you feel like the people who want to see the movie are going to go see the movie.
Oh yeah, okay.
And critic reviews won't necessarily affect those numbers. So people call it critic proof.
Yeah, okay.
People say certain movies, certain genres are critic proof. I'm asking, is opening weekend critic proof? Is a movie going to do what it's going to do despite bad reviews?
Yeah, I still think that. Just because, like I said, if you're gonna go see it, you're gonna go see it, and you're gonna be the first one in line to go see that movie. So I think people already made up their mind by the first weekend. Now, anything after that is totally up in the air for critics to have some weight in. But I think, again, if you have your heart set on wanting to go see something, that you're gonna go do it. Especially comic book movies. I mean, those things, the followers those movies have are, thousands and thousands and millions of people. So, they have a strong following, and, if you're gonna, plan on seeing it, you're gonna see it, regardless of the critical reviews.
Examples, BVS, despite what it became, it had a record opening on Thursday night and stuff like that, and we know the opening weekend was crazy. I agree. I believe it's critic proof. As far as can it sustain itself in the future, I want to get your thoughts on that. Do you think 10 years down the road, after we've been getting these movies, especially comic book movies, are fans going to say, yeah, I'm going to just go see it, DC's 8th movie in a row, that's a 20%, like, I don't care, I'm going to go see it? Or do you think we get to a point where they're like, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm not going?
That's a tough one. I think I don't, because I've already gotten somewhat disheartened just by Suicide Squad. So if I wasn't as in love with comics as I was, then I would say that I wouldn't be so eager to see the next one, whatever it was. At least for Warner Brothers, depending on what company. But yeah, I think they could have a toll on people that are more the casual fan. Because, I mean, it's their hard-earned money, and if they're not getting what they think is worth $12, then they're not going to go see it. So I don't think it can sustain itself if things keep going the way they're going.
I'll say it depends. I think it depends on fan reception. Because if you look at this from 2 point of views, Sal hated Suicide Squad. I love Suicide Squad. So the next DC movie, hey, Justice League, 25%, Sal's gonna go, crap. I don't know about this. Me, I'm gonna be like, they said that about Suicide Squad. I love Suicide Squad. I'm still going. So I think it's going to depend on fan reception. And so as we go forward, I do think it's going to become harder to become critic proof, but I still think the opening weekend will make big money going forward. All right. Now sticking on that vein, and I'll kind of go first to show you what I mean. My question is, do critics have responsibility to the movie they're reviewing? Now, this is what I mean by that. Critics watch tons of movies. That's their job. When a critic says this movie is a 5 out of 10 because they're looking at this list of criteria, because they know films should look like this. This should do this. A casual fan who you know is going to see your negative review and you take that to heart, but you know they're only looking at 1, 2, and 3 list of criteria. Mm-hmm. Oh man, did that blow this up? Was that funny? Was this fun? You're like, oh, was this camera angle like this? What was the framing? What was the audio? What was the mixing it? Like all this. So as a critic, to you the movie was bad, but do you have some responsibility to say my level of critique is on a different level?
I'm looking at it through a different lens than
and not only that, I know I could affect this movie's money in the box office by doing this negative thing. So do I have some responsibility to this studio, this movie? Hey, come free, come watch our movies, come to our set, whatever. Ooh, I didn't like that. And going in on the movie and therefore affecting it. My answer is no, they don't have a responsibility. Because you, at the end of the day, you have to say what you feel. Mm-hmm. You have to be consistent. Now, do they have to be as harsh as they always are, especially with these DC movies? I don't know. That is kind of where the question comes.
Do you think they're harsh because they have always... Okay, so comic book movies had, and up until 2008, had never been taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And now they're all... That's all everyone's talking about. Do you think this is backlash from, whoever, the critics, the Academy, and they're looking for anything to point out wrong and magnify that times 10? Do you think they're doing that not even
as
just
a whole?
Not even doing it just to DC. People have said Marvel's paying these critics to do that. I don't. But do you think that they're now using this as their weapon per se?
I would say no. I mean, honestly, I don't have the full answer, but I don't think that's it. The only thing I can say is that a majority of what I've seen is about tone. Because a lot of people, and there's going to be people that maybe comment on this, and they always say the same thing. It's not about it being dark. It's about bad storytelling. The story's bad. There's plot holes. I will run down every Marvel and Fox movie and Sony movie and show you a bunch of plot holes. We love Avengers Age of Ultron. That movie made a lot of no sense. Yeah. So, and I see it with Guardians. It was so funny. My brother was looking at, he was talking to me about reviews for Guardians of the Galaxy vs. Suicide Squad. And he said it's literally like the exact same stuff they liked and complained about, but in Guardians they was like, oh, but it was so fun, I'm willing to forgive it. So I hear this all the time, movies, this is dumb, but I forgave it, I had so much fun, or this didn't work, but I forgave it. They're not forgiving DC. For what reason, I've yet to figure out, but I just feel like it's tone, because that's the only one that is like strikingly different from Marvel. Like the plot holes and all that, and the editing, like all that's in Marvel. All that's in Marvel movies. So, especially Civil War. But that doesn't automatically make it a bad movie. Civil War has problems, and I still really highly rate that movie. But DC has the same thing, and they're just, nope, this movie sucks. So I don't know what it is. I don't think they're trying to kill the genre. I just feel like it's tone. And we talked about tone in our last chat. I just think fun stuff is more easy to forgive than serious stuff. So that's just my thoughts. But do you think these critics have responsibility I don't even know what to compare it to. It's just like
I'm trying to think of a profession where someone.
That's what I'm trying to think of. Like
I was trying to think of sports or something, but I can't.
I was just like trying to think of. I don't know if it's like a doctor or something, and I don't know. You know what I mean? With their level of knowledge is so much higher, and your opinion really can drastically shift. Stuff. So
yeah, I get it. Just because I can't think of anything else, I'm gonna say no. They shouldn't, have what was the
a responsibility.
responsibility.
To these movies.
I don't think they have a responsibility because they have a job to do. They have a job to their peers who are on the same level, and so I mean, yeah, I don't think they have a responsibility towards anyone besides themselves and their job and who they work for. So, keep doing what you're doing. And I think whatever negative reviews you have about any movie is going to make another movie that much better. Whatever it is.
I thought of an analogy, kind of. I don't know if this works, but like say it's almost like a doctor who has personal feelings about a certain strain of medicine or whatnot. And they know that for some people it'll be fine, but for them personally, they don't think it's worth the risk. And so, hey, if I discard this wholeheartedly in front of all these people or my patients, there's going to be a lot of people that stay away from that medicine.
Yeah.
And potentially stopping someone that could have saved their life by taking that medicine.
Yeah, I get it.
That's kind of, does that work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that doctor have a responsibility to not,
disregard it totally?
Not to walk on eggshells, almost like not really
be assertive in their opinion.
Yeah.
This is very theoretical.
Yeah, that's what we do in the chat.
It is. No, I think they need to be upfront about what they think about whatever it is, whether it's a doctor or whether it's a critic. Be upfront. That's all I gotta say. And it's a lot harder than black. It's that saying it's black and white, and it's not. Nothing is.
It's not.
Mostly nothing. But in the grand scheme of things, yes, you can just do what you think is right to your profession or to whatever.
Okay, so a lot of these people defend the movies, and we were some of them.
Yeah.
The critics don't get it. This was for the fans. Mm-hmm. They just don't get it. They're for the fans. Critics aren't robots. Critics don't plug up into the wall at night. These are people. A lot of them grew up fans like us, reading comics, watch TV shows, whatnot, have attachment to characters, and it might make them more critical than receptive. We don't know. So, what does it mean when these defenders claim this movie's for the fans? What are they saying?
Well, they picture these critics up in their penthouse suites, not being tuned into the real world or tuned into what's hot now. And I kind of think of it like, I don't know, like, I think they kind of associate it with, like, the Academy, where the Academy, I think Star Wars was the only, like, kind of, like, not, typical movie that got any kind of recognition or reward in, like, the last however many years. So I think they kind of associate it with that in terms of, we don't take this stuff seriously, so we're gonna give it bad reviews. And I think the argument that it's it's for the fans, they don't get it. I understand that, and I've said that before too. I mean, I liked BVS because I am attached to those characters, and I understood the story. I understood the motivations for the most part, except for the Martha part.
Don't get us started.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even know where I was going anymore. But yeah, so I think it's just an argument that fans have and the perception that they have of the critics. And I think it's not necessarily like that for the most part.
The way I saw it, I agree. The way I kind of thought about it was that, especially with BVS, that these people kind of see them as ultimate casual fans where they walk in to BVS, and I was the exact same way. Where DC as a whole, where they're making it a lot of stuff, you gotta fill in the blanks and have prior knowledge. And so if you're not a fan of that property, you don't know the backstory, there's some holes left. You're like, wait a minute, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
For me, it does not matter, it does not hurt me because I'm like, oh yeah, I already know. And so these people that don't know, just like, oh, this story makes no sense, plot holes, bad movie. And so that's kind of what I felt when I was like, this is for the fans. You don't get it. and I literally mean it's for the fans of the source material. You don't have the prior knowledge, and it's not Marvel where we're like
going from step 0 to 1 to 2.
Walking you, and we're setting up our mythology. It's not like that, and so you feel like it's a lot less well put together than Marvel. You made an excellent point. I've never thought about it, but you're so on the money. The Academy and critics have to be looked at the same because the Academy is taking heat and nobody's defending them. Nobody. Right now people are, oh, well, DC just sucks. Leave the critics alone. No one's defending the Academy. Everyone agrees, like, the Academy's messed up.
Yeah.
And critics are very much tied to it because you look at any of these critics, and I guarantee you the Oscar Award winners, their review was, like, outstanding for that. And so if you look at it like, hey, man, all these people are the same people picking these boring movies for Oscars. What do they know about these fun movies? What do they know about fun? And so that is such an excellent point, and one I can't fight. There's a lot of Oscar movies I like, but there's also a lot of movies I'm like, why didn't that get consideration? So as someone who does have a big problem with the Academy currently, I never thought of it this way, but if I did say, man, these critics are just part of the Academy, I probably would be like real dismissive of them too. So that is a great point. Oscar's so white. All right, so like to wrap this up, going forward, Sal, and I know you didn't have a lot of time to think about this.
Yeah.
I guess I'll kind of go first, but what protocol, what structure would we like to see for critics, these websites, and spoiler reviews going forward to the future? For me, number one, I wish we could get to a point where spoiler reviews, whatever, can't be released until after opening weekend. That at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We got embargoes now where a certain studio say, okay, you come watch the screening, but you can't say anything until X day. And it's usually like a day, 3 days before the movie comes out. Make it after the opening weekend. I know we talk about critic proof and everything, but just like let a group of people go see it, so then critic reviews rush in with fan reviews. Because right now it's just like all that's out there is for critics.
Yeah, and that's what gets the most news.
And it's 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh crap, the world's over. And then you gotta wait a week or two to say, oh well, 75% audience rating, or whatever. So it's so much panic at the front, and then it settles down. Just wait. I want all those YouTubers, all that to just wait to after opening weekend. As far as these websites, more fan stuff. Rotten Tomatoes specifically. And we've been talking for a while, so I won't go into how Rotten Tomatoes works because a lot of people don't understand what that score actually means. It does not mean this movie was a 26%. Mm-hmm. It's very different. So I think a lot more fan stuff. I know Cinema Score does like fan reaction and their grade and stuff. I think you need a better mix of fan input and critic input. So like if you're gonna do a critic's tomato score, do a fan tomato score, same thing like that. And I know they kind of had an audience rating right now, but make it bigger, make a bigger push, get more fans, give them some prizes to do. I don't know, but in the future, I just want to see a better marriage of fan voice, critic voice. What would you like to see in the future?
I agree with waiting until after opening weekend. I think that'd help a lot, especially with my inner conscience, whatever, subconscious like, I don't know, if I wouldn't have seen any of those reviews for Suicide Squad, maybe I might have thought a little bit differently. Maybe I would have been a little bit more forgiving. I don't know. But I think it'd be cool. I'm sure it's out there already, but I want it like an official, like an IMDb or Rotten Tomato official sort of website for maybe just specific genres. So maybe critics who specialize in horror, critics who specialize in superhero, whatever it is. Because then you know you're getting a trustworthy kind of critic. Going back to it's for the fans. Well, if they're also fans and you also know that, and you see kind of their prior work in terms of critiquing things, then you kind of have more of a trusted opinion on that movie. Now, if it's a bad review, you kind of gotta put your bias aside and say, well, this critic does know what he's talking about because he is a fan of this stuff. So if it's bad, you kind of gotta, bite your teeth or bite your tongue. So yeah, that would be kind of cool though, to have kind of one integrated database of specialty critiques.
Yeah, I love that idea. I'm also thinking maybe if like AMC and the other big theater chains get like some kiosk or something interactive for fans to go right away after they come out and vote, or put a little blurb about what they thought and they automatically tweet it out from AMC or something to like let the buzz build from the fans and not just the critics. Yeah. So let everybody's buzz kind of float out there.
That'd be nice.
People can make their decision. But yeah, man, we had petitions to get sites shut down. We had, war. We had some nasty words on the internet as always. The war between fans and critics rage on. But for now, that was our Canon Chat. If you want more, stay tuned. Thank you for listening.